Sun-Pluto aspects. Now we're getting into deep water. If you don't know, if you want to find out if you have Sun and Pluto aspect, you can go to my birth chart calculator, for which I'm putting a link here, and go to the to this table that I'm showing you on the screen here. Scroll down and just write to me on YouTube the values of the where you read the Sun. Opposite it says its sign and its degree. Write to me the sign and the degree of the Sun, and write to me the value opposite the planet Pluto, the sign and the degree. And I will tell you if you have the aspect between the Sun and Pluto, and there are difficult and there are easy aspects. And I'll talk about both types and how they're different. So what happens when you have Sun with Pluto? Well, let's first start from the childhood. The Sun symbolizes the main father figure or the main authority figure in the life of the person, some authority figure that was there. And Pluto is this very domineering and very much present figure there, which is someone, maybe a controlling father who was trying to control every detail of the life of the child. And maybe it was a father who was a little bit like domineering figure, a little bit like too intense as well. And maybe it was the father who had plutonic type of careers, which was to work with those people that are disowned from society, that are with things that are taboo, with criminality, maybe policemen, maybe transformation surgeons, people, psychologists as well, plumbers that go into the underground and work with the refuse of human being, you know, the refuse that excretions and things like that. Anything which is kind of a bit more taboo, a bit more buried. Maybe a father who worked with secret, maybe a secret agent. My father has this combination and I have this combination, so I know how it is. And this person would have been somehow of controlling over the life of the child, trying to prevent the child from this darker side of life himself, you know, trying to protect the child. And even nowadays, when I go to my father in Bulgaria, I'm 32, and he would still unscrew the locker in my room so he can come in anytime he wants, so I don't have privacy. So a little bit like, you know, my eyes are on you. So kind of controlling influence. And often there was a power struggles with the authority figure. Even if you didn't have a father, if it was a mother, there might have been some power struggles with authority figure, and particularly with the father in the early life of the child. But this relationship of power struggles transform a lot the person. It makes the person become who they are. And usually in the early part of life, these people have really poor self-image, because the Sun represents how you see yourself, it represents your ego, and Pluto is this really heavy planet which can smash somehow the self-awareness, not self-awareness, but the self-image of the person. But this is what happens with Pluto and the Sun. While at the beginning or certain periods you can have really low ego, once you start owning your power, because Pluto is a planet of power, you can become some of the most influential and powerful person that affects the life of others. It usually comes later in life, but usually there is some tremendous transformation of the personality and the character and the whole life path, which is the Sun of the person. Maybe from a shrinking violet, or even if it was extrovert person at young age, their self-confidence in some way and pride might have been affected to their self-belief, and there is some big critical thing that happens in their life, whether through some crisis, whether through some death that happens, whether through some undergoing something more deep, more dark, taking you down to the underground, which is the realm of Pluto. And through that, you come back like the bird phoenix, which is a symbol of planet Pluto. So it like destroys you first, it destroys your ego, it can totally annihilate your self-image and who you are and your direction in life. Usually careers, people who have Sun Pluto, they might have a total big transformation once in their life or 2 hours in their career path, because the Sun rules the main role we play in life, which can be the career. So it can be, might have been maybe you're working in some sphere and then you experience something very intense, maybe a breakdown, maybe a crisis, maybe some deep spiritual awakening, you know, maybe the death of someone, because Pluto is the planet of death, and it makes you fully rechange and rethink your path in life and redirect to a different career, to a different self-expression. So this is very common. You can yourself have careers which are plutonic, whether it's from the plumber who, you know, deals with the refuse, whether it's a psychologist. These people, some Pluto people extremely interested to get to know their themselves, because they're so interested to understand the power of themselves, to understand the deeper recesses of themselves, to understand how their subconscious is working and what their motives are, because they're like, Sun with Pluto makes you like Scorpio. You need to dig deeper. You cannot stay and live on a superficial level in life. You need to bury deeper, because when you try to live breezy and easy and everything is fine, everything is easy, life drags you down there. Pluto drags you down to the underground, so it makes you much more aware of the darker side. So these people later in age, they're called to careers of transforming others, whether it's they experience some big loss in their life, so they help others with bereavement, others with counseling, whether they help others with transforming their life in a powerful way. I mean, such people that can, you know, because Sun Pluto people go through such big transformations in their life when it's triggered, when this combination Sun and Pluto is triggered, that after that they come up like the bird phoenix, totally reborn, owning their own strength finally, and they met the devil, they faced their fears, they faced the biggest, you know, the darkest side and fears of humanity, of their own self. They face them so they can help others with those things and bring those things to the surface. But usually there is a lot of guilt associated with this position, because often when the person is young, either the family buries some secret and there is like a tension, the child feels it, some family secret of their life. Maybe they did something wrong, the parents in their life, maybe something that was not proper, right? Or they try to also to keep the child away from this dark side, but it's exposed. Such people exposed from early on in age to this darker side of humanity and to their own dark side. And usually at the beginning there might be a burying of this. So the person rejects their dark side. So they try, you know, and they feel this guilt anytime they do something inappropriate, something wrong, something that others would consider, you know, sinful, or you know, maybe watching a porn or something. It doesn't matter. It can be anything. Or maybe doing drugs. They'll try to hide it from others. When they do something wrong, they'll try to hide it from others. They can try it secretly. They won't be that raging alcoholic. Everyone knows they can do it privately, secretly, and they bury. They even try and hide their weaknesses from themselves till life pushes them through some crisis situation to take all those things that they've buried, all those darker side, and to integrate it, to bring it to the surface where the sun can shine on it and the sun can actually make this transformation for the person. Because basically the biggest challenge for some Pluto people is to accept and to integrate their darker side with their lighter side. Pluto is the dark side. Sun, of course, is the bright side, the good, amazing qualities of the person. So often they can do it through Plutonic careers, as I said, by helping others, work on their darker side, go through transformations, or experiencing themselves those things. And when they're, however much they try and hide from those things and these feelings of guilt coming, sooner or later they will have to face their biggest fears. And this is when this happens, this is when they become empowered and very strong. And often these people have a really intense awareness of themselves, self-awareness, and they feel like when they talk with someone, they feel that others are also as intensely aware of them. And because of that, there is often a sense of trying to protect yourself, trying to defensiveness, trying to build walls, not saying too much to the person, or somehow, you know, keeping a secret. Such people with Sun Pluto strong aspect, especially Sun opposition, Sun square, Sun conjunction, they have secrets. They have things that they hide, not only from others, but even from themselves, as I said. And if you bury a little bit under the surface, you'll find that because of this guilt that they're feeling. But later on, when they start owning their power, they can use these secrets that they were hiding for helping others transform themselves. So for instance, such a person might have lived on the street, might have been into adult industry, might have had some addiction, might have had some abuse, might have had, you know, some of those darker things. Maybe were in the criminal world, maybe they were drug lords, maybe their parents did something like that. But these dark sides, these people are transformers of darkness. But for you to become a transformer of darkness, you need first, you know, to become either the victim of this darkness or the penetrator of this darkness and face it and transform yourself and come out and help others. Unfortunately, some people might just get to the level where they're committing those things or are the victims. But usually, if they have a longer lifespan, they will they will actually go on to do some amazingly transformative work and amazingly powerful influence into others. And such people, even though they're not aware often, they have a strong impact on others. They have a strong magnetic almost influence on others, and with such people you either hate them or love them, because there is this intense energy around them, and and often they're not very much aware of their own power until later in life, as I said, and they can be highly manipulative, especially the more difficult aspects, the opposition, conjunction, or square, and they don't, I mean, they're manipulative. It can be good in some situations when you're trying to sway people's opinion, when you're trying to make some transformation in their life, you can manipulate them in that way. So if you use it for good ends, manipulation can be a good thing. But on the negative scale, these can be people who understand the subtle workings of the mind of others and how to play with the mind of others as well. I've seen that as well. And also at the same time, they protect themselves by not saying much about themselves. And also there is a lot of these people, you might think you know them. You might have very deep connections. Pluto Sun people form very deep bonding connections with others. But you might be years before you actually realize that you just know the tip of the iceberg for those people. There's so much happening underneath in the inner world, that so much maybe in their past that you're not aware of, something that even they're feeling guilty of and they're trying to hide to protect themselves. So yeah, this is extremely interesting and powerful position. And also Pluto is the planet of power, so such people can later in life have tremendous power in their life. They can be ruling big people, they can be almost like a dictator. I can't say that, but maybe big corporations, because Pluto rules corporations and the collective unconscious energy. So such people can sway others' opinions and whole masses of people's opinions through working with those collective subconscious energies and feeling the undercurrents and what's coming, what's the next thing that's gonna be in trend, what's the next thing, how to impact larger masses of people. And you can use it for good, you know, you can use it like Hitler. So depends. Again, we have free will for that. The easy aspects, trine and sextile, they'll tend to naturally flow with the from young age, also from the more positive influences of Pluto Sun, with already starting to transform and to be transformers of others and to transform themselves. While the more difficult aspects, it might be these transformations can happen to them through a crisis, through a painful experience. Often the death of the father will be something that is deeply ingrained into the experience, into the life of a Sun Pluto person, because there is a special bond, even if it was a lot of power struggles between the child and the father. When the father passes, it's something which really deeply affects the person for a long time. And this death as well, because Pluto rules death, is something which can be highly transformative. Such people can be extremely interested into the underworld, in life after death, in anything of the beyond, anything of occult and mystical powers, and they can help others who are going through such losses as well. And Pluto is people in power as well, so such people can attract powerful people in their life. They can become friends with influential and powerful people as well, or criminal people. That's the darker side of Pluto, you know, some gang leader or something. But they're more susceptible. First of all, if you have a child with the difficult aspect, Sun Pluto, you need to, you cannot protect them. You cannot protect them from the darker side of life. They have to collide with it, and they have to gain their own strength from there and come out and help others in the situation. But you have to be aware that they might have a tendency to the darker side of life. And again, as I said, addictions are sometimes common. But this combination also is for people who develop inhumanly strong willpower. So what happens is that they usually are placed at some moment in their life in a situation of total powerlessness. Almost where it's inhumanly possible to come out of it, whether it's some drug addiction, or whether it's some maybe getting involved with a gang, or maybe something where someone is dominating them, domineering them, like lack of freedom and movement, or maybe it's a prison of their own head with paranoias and fears, so they feel totally without power to act. But after that, in some human way, through the power of God, through the power of the providence, they manage to get themselves with their own willpower as well out of those situations, and they develop tremendous willpower. So they're often placed in a situation of helplessness, so they can develop this extreme willpower. And often they have an obsession, because Pluto is an obsessive planet. They can get obsessions about things, and particularly obsessions about success in life, because the sun rules career, achievements, goals. So these people can have such a drive to be the best, to be like the most. So if they're doing something and they don't think they're going to be the best, they might self-sabotage themselves not to get there, because they have to be the best. They have to have the most power and influence and impact when they do something. So especially in the early age, such people can self-sabotage themselves. But this enormous drive, sooner or later, can, with age and with positive influences, planetary, can transform into tremendous power and ability to manifest and willpower into the life. Thank you.